debate over alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria continues to dominate headlines. From U.S. President Donald Trump to Nigeria's federal government, the Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern groups and Islamic scholars, the conversation has become one of the most divisive topics in recent weeks. Recall that President Trump had accused the Nigerian government of allowing the killing of more than 3,100 Christians in a single year and has threatened military action.
Well, while the U.S. lawmakers push for a ban on Sharia law and sanctions against the Bayeti Allah organization, the Northern Elders Forum and the coalition of Northern groups have rejected the move, describing it as a direct attack on Islam. Renowned Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has also weighed in, insisting that bandits are reasonable human beings who should be pacified rather than eliminated. He argues that Muslims are also being killed in large numbers and have called for balanced reporting and verified data. Well, let's also tell you that on the other hand, Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo, regional chairman of the Church of Christ in Nations, that's Kosin in Plateau State, maintains that the violence is a deliberate and coordinated assault on Christian communities. He was here in an exclusive chat with Blessings Masugu of News Central. Let's bring you a little snippet of that.
We're just moving, we are just enjoying it, pressing it down. Women are being raped. Come and see, we have to be slave to the Islamic terrorists. They will force you to go and farm for them. If our local native people did not go and farm for them, this is where I grown up. And the Fulani knows that that is my village. They invented chanting Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, sporadic shooting all over the village from different angles. And this is the sound of their guns. I don't know whether it comes from, is it Iraq or Iran or anything. You hear kukum, 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 kukum. This is the sound of the terrorists in Islam. And when they enter the village, and this is what happened. They move after that night. Those that were able to escape helter-skelter, they were able to go and hide. Then they burned the villages. I was called. I have to take a journalist to that village the following morning because I wanted to go down there. They said, no, don't come this night. They can do something for you. I was crying. I couldn't sleep. My wife is here with me. She knows I was restless in Bukuru that time. Until when it was in the morning, I was able to move. Come and see children that came out from the bush and they were in trauma. Women that hid themselves and went reluctantly into the village. The youths that escaped, they gathered themselves and come back into the village. They were following me into the house. What will I say? I was able to see my grandmother that I grown up with in Gomata. And the youths were challenging me that they want us to bring something for their self-defense. And we didn't do anything. And look at it here. When I saw her corpse, the youths are the one that opened her chest for me. And I saw a broken knife. There was no heart.
What I can see clearly is why do you put the list of Christians killed without a corresponding list of Muslims killed? Muslims in the southern Kaduna or in Plateau are killed in the thousands. And it's not only the militias they are killing them, even the Air Force have bombarded and killed so many villagers like that. So why don't we have a list of that? Why don't we have the list of the Tudumbiri people that we have massacred during their celebrations? Why don't you put those who were slaughtered in the boss? Why don't you put the image of Major General Kali? So many cases. I think we Muslims, what we need to do now is to bring out to public the names of those who are killed and massacred in the southern, in the Middle Belt region. That is mandatory for us now, so that the string of the information will not tilt against what is happening. It's two people fighting. It's a case of two-sided fight.
These are two separate interviews here, exclusive to News Central Television, and we've played them with you just so you get a sense of what both sides of the divide are saying. But joining us this morning is the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern State and the FCT, Reverend Joseph Hayab. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Reverend Dachomo painted a very gory picture of what the reality is in certain parts of the country, and he's made very strong claims about the killings of Christians in Plateau State. As the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, I'm sure that you have maybe first-hand account in terms of churches, individuals that maybe have experienced this, have reported this, or maybe your personal experience. Would you say that you agree with the picture that has been painted by Reverend Dachomo? Is that the reality of what it is?
Sincerely speaking, sometimes when I go into this conversation, I also get emotional like Reverend Dachomo. But because of leadership, one has been training himself, composing himself to swallow his emotion, not to be shedding tears in public spaces, but the pains is always there. The night Reverend Victor preached in my church, and the next day he was burnt to death. We carry his corpse like that of a small baby. Victor served in the Nigerian army and retired before going to the seminary. You can imagine, he's a very tall human being. He was the pastor of the Alheri Baptist Church in Gwankanawa, the English section, and he was burnt to death. The fact that when they went out checking for his corpse, no one could identify his corpse. What makes our people know that that was his corpse is his son, who saw the shoe near that small baby's corpse and said, but this is my father's shoe. Then they realized that, yeah, it's the corpse of that man. So we have dozens of stories like this to tell. But this is life. It has happened. What we need is to find a way out. And that's why some of us believe that the reason why we keep this conversation like this is because some people keep denying it. I'm shocked to hear in the interview you played words that were used by Sheikh Gumi and others. I expect Sheikh Gumi is supposed to be a stakeholder. Sheikh Gumi is supposed to be honest to himself. Sheikh Gumi is supposed to be honest to the Nigerian Christians in northern Nigeria and honest even to his Muslim colleagues by ensuring that he speaks words that unite, words that will bring healing. But further exaggerating and twisting stories just make the whole matter continue to escalate. But for us as Christians, we know we've been killed. For us as Christians, we have buried so many. For us as Christians, we have suffered so much persecution. Look, when I begin this story, I always remind people that these killings of Christians didn't start now. So nobody should be confusing the story with this current government. Because I think people to play politics, they are doing it because Tinubu. For me, I can even tell people that when Tinubu came, we've even have some small relief, not complete, but at least a change, a shift. But in the past, I was burying people in hundreds. I was burying 50, 30 every week. And I remember that in 2000, we buried over 2,000 people during the Sharia crisis. In 2002, I buried over 300 people during the Miss World Beauty Pageant crisis. In 2006, Christians were killed in Bauchi and Borno, in Gombe and other places. We buried them because of other issues that we have no business with. And then when Boko Haram came up in 2009, because Nigeria needs to know this in perspective, that before 2009, most of the issues were Muslim killing Christians. We were not using the term genocide. We were not using the term terrorists until Boko Haram came and we started having. So Islamic fundamentalists have been killing. And when you look at the entire setup of the terrorists that have been tormenting Christians in northern Nigeria, they are promoting an Islamic ideology. They didn't come to defend Christians. So when people come to argue with us and tell us, no, these terrorists are killing Muslims, see, they only began to kill Muslims when they had killed Christians, and few Muslims who understand that this is not good testimony for their faith, started resisting them, then they killed them. But they have been focusing on killing Christians. Someone the other day in one of the medium came out and said, no, he has statistics where more Muslims have been killed than Christians. And I said, no, sir. I also have statistics that clearly shows that in the past years, more Christians have been killed. The fact is that I want to really cut the figure. Over 16,000 Christians in the between 2000 to 2000.
Hello, Reverend Hayab. Are you still with us?
Okay,
Well,
we're
we
hoping
seem to
that we
have
can
some
reconnect.
connection issues.
I mean, those are such a
Terrible numbers.
to
Well,
hear.
there's still quite a lot to unpack. The federal government's response, and they've been on a diplomatic offensive. But we have Reverend
figures,
Hayab
yeah.
back. Please, you can complete your thoughts.
Yeah, so the figures are there, and they are not what we need to be debating and lying about, because what we really need today in Nigeria is people coming out to admit the truth that yes, people came and killed fellow citizens hiding under the name of our religion. And we have realized that our silence has been too long. Now we want to identify with our neighbors, identify with the Christians in Nigeria and say nobody should harm them in the name of religion. Then we will start talking. But to tell us that no, those things do not happen, and to further even lie that so number of Muslims were killed, it just makes this whole looks like competition. I came to report your son, or someone who came to present himself as a son, that he has burnt my house. Instead of commiserating and sympathizing with me, you are now telling me he also burnt my house. I think that's not the right way a parent or a responsible leader should do. Those who are, I'm happy that there are prominent Islamic clerics who are beginning to speak out now. And I say, look, we know when our malams were going out there and saying, kill them, they are infidels, they are kafiris, they are arnis. This is where we find ourselves, where we are. In one of the documents I read this morning, the document is saying that Gumi claimed that Christians used to have coffins that are empty and claim to be burying people. No, that is too bad. That shows that we have people in this country who do not care what is happening to their fellow citizens. And that's why government must sit up and wake up. So when you begin to accuse Trump for what he says or Ted Cruz for his bill, you can see the kind of attitude we have around us.
Thank you so much, Reverend Hayab, for sharing your personal testimony. It's never easy talking about the stories. And you ended your submission by saying the government must sit up and respond to these issues. And sitting up is what they are doing, according to the Nigerian government. They have denied that there's a Christian genocide in Nigeria, and they said what we have is a security problem. And this has gone beyond the borders of Nigeria. Like you rightly said, Senator Ted Cruz, and the United States president has been very vocal on this. He said Christians in Nigeria facing an existential crisis. Nigeria has been on a diplomatic offensive. We've had the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was on Piers Morgan's show 2 nights ago, and they've been doing rounds, and other senior government officials on international news network. And what they often say, the line they say, is that Nigeria has a terrorism problem, which is true, and that, you know, Muslims are also victims of these violent extremist groups, that when you say it's a Christian problem, you're not acknowledging the other side of it, that Muslims are also human beings. That what we should be talking about now is the sanctity of all life. All life is important. Atheist, Christian, Muslim, all life is important, and that this has a way of, you know, fostering more divisions. And what we should be talking about is dealing with our terrorism issues. How do you respond to that, Reverend?
Yeah, we all agree. You see, when this whole madness started, the terrorists were going after Christians. And that is what we want our neighbors to acknowledge. When they killed Oji in Borno, they didn't kill him because he's just a human being. They killed him because he's a Christian. He even made a very strong statement and say, go and tell my brothers I die well. I remember sharing this story of Oji last week, and when Mrs. Oji read about it, she reached out to me and said, thank God you remind the world how my husband died. My consolation is that what he said, tell my brothers I die well. Because myself, Pastor Ladi Thompson, and Papa Ayo, and Reverend Wale Adefarasi in Lagos have to find a way of moving Mrs. Oji to Lagos to stay there for her safety when her husband was killed. I remember telling Nigerians that I went to Ekot Ipene to bury Sylvester Osonobon, who was also killed. But Pastor Bitrus Yakubu was of Maiduguri. His brother was then the medical director of Maiduguri General Hospital. They buried him in Maiduguri and only took his wife away to Jos. You tell me that these people is just killing? No, they went out to the church. My church was burnt down and many of the branches of the Baptist church were closed up. Coking, EYN. The fact about it is that for people to know, the terrorists took over our Baptist seminary or college in Gombe to become their camp for many years. So people wouldn't tell us that. We understand that when they now couldn't find us to kill, they now started killing Muslims who were resisting their attitude.
All right.
Ooh. It would seem that there's some sort of a disconnection again, and we hope that we can resolve that disconnection because there's another part of the conversation that I would love to explore with. Okay, right. Please go ahead, sir.
Everybody.
Yes, please go ahead with your thoughts, sir.
So people must know the difference between killing everybody and targeting Christians.
Okay.
In the past, in the last 7 years, when we were burying people left, right, and center in Magame, in other part of southern Kaduna, and someone still want to tell me, the whole thing is that because there has been confusion, saying that the killings is...
Okay.
We seem to have a constant network.
I would assume that there's a call coming in, but there is some interruption that's going on there, and we apologize for that. We hope we're able to resolve that clearly. He's detailed an account, a personal account of bodies he's had to bury as a reverend, and even he particularly mentioned the story of a... Okay, welcome back, sir. Please go. Are you there with us now?
Yeah, so...
Okay. For the benefit of time, I think you've driven your point home that people should distinguish between the killings, the terrorist killings, and targeted attacks. And I want to, pick on something that you said. You explained and you gave an instance of what happened to OG, who said to say to his brothers that he died well, and that you and a number of pastors had to move his wife to a safe location. One of the pastors you mentioned is Pastor Wale Adefarasin. And if I remember correctly, in the past week, he's been quoted as talking about this genocide matter. He says the West portrayal of the situation of Christians being under attack is sort of misleading. It says it's nothing new, it doesn't amount to a genocide. That the way the West are talking about it, it's as if a Christian steps on the street, his head will be blown off. I want you to react to his response and also talk about, we can't hear you, your audio is disconnected. Please. I want you to react to that.
I don't know what went wrong that he is making that denial now. But the truth about it, I think one of the mistakes going on is that people are thinking this matter is against Tinubu. No, sir. Tinubu can even be given some credit. This matter is about Nigeria. It's about the peace and unity of this country. Let's correct it for our country. Let's correct it for our children. Let's correct it for our future. But when we are politicizing it and bringing sentiment, whether those in leadership are our brothers or our friends, that's where we are. We will go.
Okay. I think the second part of the question I had was, how would you assess the response by leaders of the Christian faith, leaders of the Islam? I know you've already said about the Islamic faith that you would expect that they speak more and maybe denounce this act. But what about the Christian leaders? How would you rate the response so far? And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, as Christian leaders, we also suffer our misrepresentation. Sometimes, as I try to explain this, you will have others who, for some selfish reason, will twist whatever one is saying. So that's why many Christian leaders don't want to talk, so that they don't get twisted. You remember there was a night, a story came out about Kumuyi, and when Kumuyi was not even around. So you can see everybody is afraid. We've seen people writing negative stories about Papa Adeboye and others. But the truth remains one. I think the current president has spoken. He emphasized that Christian genocide is true. And all of us are members of CAN. We are just another branch or another wing coming together as Northerners, but we are Nigerian. And we are the same people who have been crying. And we are not asking for anything too much. Government, stop the killing. Government, ensure that no Nigeria is victimized, no Nigeria is killed in this country or deny his right, whether right to education, whether right to build a place of worship, whether right to do anything. As I said in one medium recently, that do you know that in northern Nigeria, it's not just about killing. Even in institutions, federal institutions, they won't allow us to have a church. The fact that our children in most of the universities, you can bring BUK. There is a church that was born since 1987 or 92 in Congo, ABU here. We've not been able to rebuild that church up to today as I'm speaking to you. So what else? And we are trying to build moral leaders who will fear God. But you want your people to fear God and do what is right. Then my children should be vagabonds or my children should be wayward. What kind of life are we doing? And people are keeping quiet to those things. You come to ask for indigent form. Someone who came all the way from Borno can come to Kaduna or go to other states in the north and claim to be an indigent. But I, a Christian, who is from that state, I will not be. And if my father make mistake and give me an English name, that disqualifies me. So someone will look at you on the face and say, there's no John here. How can there not be John? On what ground there was no John? Go to Katsina. A large number of Molumfashi, Funtua, Tsiga are Christians. The community that voted Masari to come over and be a member of the House of Reps and eventually become speaker are mostly Christians. So people shouldn't tell us we don't exist. So when we bear names that sound Bible, that's our offense. So these are the things we want to see corrected. Nigerians should have respect wherever they are. Religion is your personal thing. Follow your faith. I follow my faith, but all of us be obedient to the law of Nigeria and promote Nigeria and bring about the desired transformation we want to see in Nigeria. So I don't give excuse for any region. If there's any region that stop Muslims from building mosques, we should challenge them, let them stop. If there's any region that stop Muslims from being admitted, we should challenge them. But I'm speaking as a northerner. I only know my problem. If another problem is happening elsewhere, please come and tell us so that together we will join hands and fight. But don't tell me that I shouldn't complain when things are not going
okay.
right.
All right, thank you so much, Reverend Joseph Hayab, for speaking with us. I mean, we do hope that we'll find a lasting solution to this issue, and hopefully we will be joining you again. This time you'll be speaking on the improvement that the federal government has been able to achieve. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Do take care of yourself.
Have a nice day.
To bring
Thank you.
about that improvement
Thank you,
if there's honesty.